In the last tutorial, I was showing you how to make this slouch hat. And this tutorial, I want to show you how to make the fingerless gloves. And if you kept your same color or got at least two of these kind of colors, or this is the first one that video that you might have seen, all it's going to take is less than a skein of yarn to make gloves, even less than that actually. So if you have a color that you like, go ahead and just grab this and one that goes good with it. It's going to take just a little bit of yarn to make the ends, but if you want to make the hat and glove set, I would say get 2 skeins of this main color and then just get 1 skein of the secondary color that you're going to use for the rim of your gloves and hat. You can find the link to the hat tutorial, the slouch hat tutorial, in the description box below. To make these fingerless gloves, you're going to also need a 4mm hook or a US size G hook, which is like a 4.25 hook. So it's not much of a difference in size. So you can use a size G hook for this, because you're going to need to make a chain of 30. You have to do in sets of 10. The stitch is done in multiples of 10. So you're definitely going to need that. You're also going to need a stitch marker. The stitch marker is a must because of the changing of the stitches and everything. I also recommend that if you're a beginner, don't try this project. Go ahead and try this only if you're beginner, advanced, or intermediate, because you have to really recognize the stitches and everything. But you're also going to need that stitch marker because it's going to tell you when you need to change the stitch. Very important. So that's it. Grab those items and we'll get started. Okay, once you have your chain of 30 done, just follow your chain down. Make sure there's no twist in it. And then in the top loop here, you want to go ahead and slip stitch to form a ring. And then go ahead and chain 1, go into that first stitch again and do a single crochet. Then you want to work 1 single crochet using this top loop only. You want to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So continue to do that and I'll see you back here in a moment. Okay, when you get to the end of your row, make sure that you count your stitches and that you have all 30 stitches around. I know I'm using a bigger hook, but this is thicker yarn, so this is just for the purposes of this tutorial. Go ahead and you use your 4mm or 4.25 or G hook. So once you come to the end of your row and you have your 30 single crochets, slip stitch in the beginning single crochet. Then you want to chain 2. And then in the next stitch, you want to do a double crochet. And you want to continue to put a double crochet in each stitch around. So continue to do that and I'll be back here in a moment. Okay, when you get done, you want to slip stitch in the top at the beginning, chain 2. That chain 2 does count as a stitch. Make sure you count your stitches this round as well. So when you get to round 3, you want to chain 1, and you can either chain 2 or you can just chain 1 and elongate your hook like I'm doing here, because you want to work a front post double crochet on this chain 2 below. So I'm going to go down and pull up this chain 2. I'm going to work a double crochet on it, and you want to do that for the next 4 stitches too. You want to do 5 front post double crochets in a row. So we just did 1. So then we want to grab the post up of the next one. And work our double crochet. So we got 3, 4, and 5. Now you want to work the next 5 stitches as back post double crochets. So what you'll be doing is yarning over and coming in and pushing back that post to do a back post double crochet. You want to do 5 of those in a row. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now you've got your 5 front post, 5 back post, and you'll repeat that for the remainder of your round. Next, you'll be doing your 5 front post, and then the next 5 stitches you'll do your 5 back post. So you continue that pattern all the way around, and I'll see you when you get back up to the beginning. Okay, when you get done, you want to slip stitch in the top of the beginning front post double crochet. And then again, you will chain 1, elongate your hook, or you can chain 2, it's up to you. And you're going to do a front post double crochet over these 5 front post double crochets. You're going to be repeating exactly what you did last round, only you're working on your front post and back post double crochets from last round. So I just put 5 front post double crochets worked on my front post double crochets. Now I need to do my 5 back post double crochets. And then 1 more back post double crochet. Okay, I got my 5 back post double crochets. And you're just going to continue this pattern all the way around, and when you get back up to the end, when you get to the end of your row, you want to go ahead and slip stitch in the beginning front post double crochet that you did. Now that was row 4, so you need to do 4, 5, 6, you need to do 3 more rows just like the last round. So again, you'll just be chaining 1, pulling up, then doing a front post double crochet worked in the next 5 stitches, and then you'll do your 5 back post worked in your next 5 stitches. You're going to be repeating this. So you did, this was 4, this is going to be 5, 6, 7, so this row and 2 more rows, a total of 5 rows. Okay, since I'm doing this tutorial filmed simultaneously, I went ahead and I made this just so you would know how thick you needed to make it for the bottom part of the gloves, because it's much thicker border than the hat. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and use this piece to finish up, but of course you have your 5 rows. So what you want to do is grab your next color, and I like to slip stitch into my beginning stitch. I'll pull that tight. You definitely want a little bit of a tail so that you can work that tail in later so it doesn't stick out. Tighten your other color, and then now continue to work with your new color. You want to slip stitch in that beginning front post double crochet, and this will also count as your very first stitch. For later on, go ahead and just mark this very first stitch. You'll be moving your marker a lot, but just mark that first stitch. So you've got your first slip stitch, and now you want to work 4 more slip stitches for a total of 5 slip stitches here at the beginning. So we have our 1, then 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the next 5 stitches over your front post, your back post double crochets, you want to put a half double crochet worked in each of those stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now you're back up to your front post here, and you want to work one slip stitch in each of the next stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you'll be continuing this pattern all the way around. 5 slip stitches, then the next 5 will be half double crochets, 5 slip stitches, and then the next 5 stitches will be half double crochets, and you'll just continue this pattern all the way around till you get back up to your marker. Okay, from now on we're going to be alternating working in our front loops, which is this front loop here. So you have a front, oh, let me go a little closer, sorry. So each stitch has a front and a back loop. We're going to be alternating working in the front loop one round, and then the next we're going to be working in our back loop. So you're going to have to pay attention and remember for yourself every round whether you worked in the front loop or the back loop, but it should be easy enough to remember because you'll have this to show you which loop you worked in last as you get going. So let me back up just a bit. Okay, so for your next round you're going to be working in your front loops. So we're going to be doing 2 in a row of each stitch. So we have a row of slip stitches, 1 row of slip stitches, so we're going to be doing another row of slip stitches. It's the same with the half double crochets. We did 1 row of half double crochet, so we're going to need to put another row of half double crochets over it. And another way that you can tell whether you're going to be working, it's hard to see on that one, maybe this one, whether you're going to be working front post or back post that round, in the middle of each half double crochet rows that you'll be doing, you'll always be working on the front post, the front loop when you're doing your second set of half double crochets, because as you can see the stitches kind of go around that. So the center, you're working on the front loops so that the back loops don't show. When you work only on the back loops, the front post will show, and you can see here. So you can see here I worked only on the back post. This one I did only the front post, and then the next one I did back post, which shows the front loops. So that's another way that you can remember. So this round is our second round of half double crochets, and we do not want those loops to show in the middle of 2 rows of half double crochet. So we're going to be working on the front loop this round. So we're working our next set of slip stitches using the front loop only. So we'll do our 5 slip stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we'll be working our half double crochets worked in our front post. So pick up your very first front post here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then again, work your next 5 slip stitches, 1, 2, and I counted like this all the way through my rows, 3, 4, 5, because it can be hard later on to be able to tell where your last half double crochet is and your next slip stitch is, so definitely count. So you have your 5 slip stitches, so now you need your 5 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, do your next 5 slip stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're almost to the end here. Just have our last 5 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we have our 2 rows of half double crochets and our 2 rows of slip stitches. So now we have to change our pattern up, because you only want to have 2 rows in a row of the same stitch. So once you have your 2 rows of half double crochet, this time you'll be wanting to do a slip stitch over that area. And the part that it dips down here, where you have 2 rows of slip stitches, you want to put a half double crochet on this area. So you just did your 5 half double crochets to end the round, but you're going to continue doing 5 half double crochets on to begin your round. That's why it's so important that you have your marker and that you know where your first and your last stitch is, because sometimes it's going to work up like this, where you're going to have to do 10 half double crochets in a row. Only this 10 is going to be worked in the front loop, and these next 5, I said the first 10, these first 5 are going to be worked in the front loop, and this next 5 is going to be worked in the back loop. So you want to yarn over, and you're going to find the back loop and do a half double crochet there. And then you can move your marker up here if you absolutely want to mark your first stitch. And sometimes when you get to that point right there, you definitely want to make sure you know which is your very first half double crochet of the row. So that was 1. Then again, work a half double crochet in the back loop only. 2, 3, 4, and 5. See, now you can see that the front loops leave a line there. Continue on this whole round. You're going to be working in the back loops only. And the next is going to be your 5 slip stitches worked in the back loop. 4, 5. You have to be sure. And if I'm not sure, I back up. I need to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. See, and I'm glad I did, because this one was not part of that set. Okay, so then you need to do your next 5 half double crochets worked in the back loop only. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you're going to continue this all the way around, and I'll see you when you get back to your marker. Okay, I just worked my last 5 slip stitches of the round, and I made it back up to my marker. And now again, oh sorry, forgot to grab yarn before I started recording. So now our next row, we're going to be working in the front loops again. So grab that front loop, and we only did 1 row of half double crochet, so we need to do our second row of half double crochets, this time working in the front loop only. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we need to do our second row of slip stitches in the front loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then again, we'll be working our next set of half double crochets. As you can see, we've got the next row when we do our working in the back loop with our next round of our slip stitches. This is going to bring that pattern like this. You can see it's forming, this very first one here. You can see the line going under. Then after this next, it'll go up. So basically you're going to be repeating those 2 rows over and over again, alternating working in the front stitch and the back stitch, and doing 2 rows in a row on top of one another, half double crochet on top of half double crochet, before you start to do your slip stitch row. And you're going to be alternating the front and back loop as you go. So you're just going to have to make sure that you keep track of where you worked last time, your front or your back loop. So hi guys, you may be wondering why the the thing I was working on is different looking. Well, this is actually the next day. I was under pressure when I was filming 2 tutorials simultaneously. I didn't have a lot of time and I was running low on battery in my camera, and so I felt like I rushed a little bit more. I really wanted to go through a few more levels with you guys, a few more rows, until you guys maybe felt a bit more comfortable and continuing on yourself. So I am hoping that the construction next door will be quiet enough to where I can film those few more rows with you guys. If you did get it and I explained well enough for you, you can just go ahead and skip this part. This is, you know, solely for people who was hoping I would do a few more rows with them until they got it down a little bit better. So I found out by looking at the video where I left off. We had just left off on this row. So we did, our last row worked in the front loops. So this time we're going to be working in the back loops. And since you can tell that we had 2 half double crochet rows, the next row is going to be the start of our 2 rows of slip stitches. So we're going to be working in the back loops this round. So I'm going to slip stitch 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we'll do our 5 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we're working in the back loop only. Then 5 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So just continue that all the way around. Next will be your 5 half double crochets worked in the back stitches only. Okay, I made it back to my stitch marker. We just did back loops, so now this round we're going to be doing front loops. And since we only have 1 round of half double crochets, we can take that as a reminder that now we still have to do another row of slip stitches. So we worked in the back loops this time, last time, so we're going to be working in the front loops this time. So do 5 slip stitches worked in the front stitches, front loops only. It's 5, and then 5 half double crochets worked in the front loop only. Two, 3, 4, and 5. And then 5 slip stitches worked in the front loops only. 2, 3, 4, 5. So just continue this all the way around, alternating 5 slip stitches, 5 half double crochets worked in the front loop only. Okay. Just got to the end of my row. I'm always counting 5, 5, 5. So I know exactly when I end my row. And just as a visual aid, since this is a little over to the left more or over to the right, depending on how you're looking at this, then where my real beginning stitch will be, I'm going to go ahead and move my stitch marker over here just to help remind myself next row that this was and is my first stitch before I start working in it. Okay, so you can tell by here we already did 2 rows. So now we have to start doing our slip stitches now over this. So we need to start changing it up. So we did 2 rows of slip stitches here. So now it's time to change to half double crochets. We just worked in our front loops, so we need to change to back loops. So working in the back loops only, start off with 5 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I know it's weird because it's all half double crochets, but these are all worked in the front loops, and then these 5 for the next row is all worked in the back loops. So continuing working in the back loops only, do your 5 slip stitches. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then your half double crochets worked in the back loop. 3, 4, and 5. Sorry, that camera's a little higher than usual. Hard to get in the middle. Okay, then your next 5 slip stitches worked in the back loop only. So just continue this all the way around, continuing to work in the back loop only, and I'll see you when you get to the beginning of your row. I had to back out back here on camera. I'm sure you saw I made 6 slip stitches instead of 5, but I wasn't sure, so I definitely went back and I redid it, so I have my 5. So I am still where I'm supposed to be. Okay, so we just worked on our back stitches, so now we need to move to front stitches. We only have 1 row of half double crochets, so we still need a second row of half double crochets. So we're going to be working 5 half double crochets in the front loop. We're going to be working in the front loop this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then our 5 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then our next half double crochets. Remember, front loop only this whole round. Continue around, and I'll see you when you get back to the end. Okay. Counting, I know I'm at the end of my row. That and these 2 are done already, so I definitely know that I'm done. Because I just did 3 slip stitches, and obviously since these 2 are half double crochets, I'm going to need to do slip stitches over this row. But I just did 5 slip stitches, so I can just tell by that that is definitely the end of my row. So because my marker is over here, again, about every 2 rows, you really need to move your stitch marker up to mark that very next stitch over, so you know that that's going to be your first stitch. And because we just worked in the front loops, now we need to work in the back loops. And now that we know we have 2 rows of half double crochets, we need to switch it up to do our slip stitches. So we're going to be working 5 slip stitches in the back loops only. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then continuing with working with the back loops only, going to be doing our 5 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So keep working your 5 half double crochets, 5 slip stitches, 5 half double crochets, worked in the back loops only. Okay, just got to the end of my row. We just worked in the back stitches, so we need to switch that up and work in the front stitches. We only have 1 row of half double crochets here, and you know you're going to need another. So we're going to repeat the last row again, only we're going to be working in the front stitches this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then continue your half double crochets worked in the front loop only. And again, after these 2 rows, when you get back up to the last stitch, move your stitch marker up again. And I think I've taken you through enough rows where I think hopefully you've gotten it by now. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop the video here and continue from yesterday. Okay, you want to continue to repeat those rows until your glove reaches about, I did it for about 16 or 18 actually. I think it was 18 rows before it was about where I wanted it. It can be different for everybody, so try it on. And at this point, it should come up to about here is where you want to stop. Right where your thumb is where I like to stop my my work. So this is the last row that I worked, and then I started my thumb so that my thumb would go over, and then I continued the glove. Now if you want to make longer gloves that like reach up your arm, you can do that. Just keep going as many rows as you want until it fits around where you like it on your arm, and it comes right up to the base of your thumb. And when you get to that point, I will show you how to create the thumb. Okay, when your glove is as long as you want it and you're ready to make the thumb, you want to continue on the pattern as much as you can. So what you want to do for the thumb hole is you want to do a chain of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But you only want to skip 2 stitches. So you're going to skip 1, 2, and then this third, you want to go ahead and do a slip stitch. And if you're already on a slip stitch row like I am here, you can just go ahead and continue the pattern, which for me is a slip stitch in the front loop. If not, and you're on a half double crochet row, then you can just do a slip stitch, but do it in the front or back loop, whatever you're working that round. And this round I just so happen to be working in the front loop. So then you want to continue your pattern. So here I skipped 2 stitches and I did a slip stitch in the third, which gives me 2 more stitches in this set of 5, and I want to make sure I do what I need to do in these, which is going to be following my pattern, which is going to be for me a slip stitch in the front loop of these next 2 slip stitches. And then my next pattern here is again half double crochets worked in the front loops. So whatever it is for you, continue on. You just want to continue doing your pattern all the way around until you reach the beginning of your chain 5. Okay, so now you want to work 5 single crochets over your chain 5 here. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then again, you want to, okay, and the rest of this row, after you've done your 5 single crochets here, you want to go ahead and do a single crochet worked in each stitch around. And it doesn't matter. I'm just going to skip this first slip stitch from last round where I slip stitched my chain and move on to the next one and do a single crochet. You can work under both loops this round. You don't have to do over one or the other. You don't have to use your front loop or your back loop. Just go under both loops this round and put 1 single crochet in each stitch around until you reach back up to your first stitch of your first chain 5. Okay, so I reached my first stitch of my 5 here over my thumb, and this is where you want to cut your yarn and switch back over to your same color that you used here. And just like we did before, you're going to be working double crochets in all your stitches around. If you want to slip stitch into your first stitch here and then chain 2, you can, but it's also easy just to go ahead and start your double crochet. So you want to go ahead and do a double crochet all the way around. Oh, I forgot to mention, you don't want to double crochet in all your stitches around because you added a few stitches here when you did your thumb hole. You want to end with 30 stitches so that your top and bottom are the same stitches. So what I did is I went about halfway or part way around, and then I counted my stitches. So you want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 28, 30. So 32. I have an extra 2 stitches here, which means I'm going to have to do a single crochet decrease twice to reduce those 2 extra stitches. You want to spread them out though. You don't want to do decrease, decrease. So I'm going to do a double crochet decrease in my next stitch. And then you just want to go back to doing double crochets for a while until you get a decent ways away from the last double crochet. And then go ahead and do your second. If you're in the same boat as me and you only have 2, if you have more, just make sure you count your stitches. Okay, when you get to the end of your row, slip stitch in that beginning double crochet. And now this is where you want to do your exactly what you did here in the beginning. You'll be chaining 2, and then on the first front post double crochet or chain, whatever your very first stitch that you did, you'll work a front post double crochet, and then you'll work a front post double crochet on the first 5, just like you did before. And then the next 5 you'll work your back post double crochets. And I did this one less round on the end of my glove. I have the total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did 5 rows of back post double crochets here, but I only did 4 here, just because when I put it on, it came up to about where I wanted it, and if I added one more row, it just would have been like too much. So make sure that you put it on, and you know your fingers in the hole, and then you find out where it is and if you like it where it is, and keep in mind that it will stretch some after some wear. So if you want to do one less, or even make it longer or make it more, but I wanted to do one less for better for me. So it's up to you, but you're essentially doing the same as you did the bottom here. And that's it. Move this out of the way. That is how you make the wave stitch fingerless gloves. And I'm releasing this one second, so I already have the slouch hat out, so be sure to check the description box below for links to that. And I may even do a scarf, I'm not sure yet. But you can always find the link to the pattern with the pictures in the description box below, along with the left and right-handed versions of videos. So that is it. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, where I share links to other people's patterns as well as my own. And I also give the most information, most up-to-date information about what's going on with my channel. So if you haven't subscribed to me on Facebook, please do that. Also, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my YouTube videos, please take a moment to do that. And I just want to thank you guys so much for all the support that you give my channel. And that's it. Thanks for watching.